Hey guys, this is God of Politics, and welcome back to a brand new video. But before we get started with this video, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also join the Discord that's linked down in the description, and check out the website, which is also linked down in the description. But in today's video, I do want to talk about how Donald Trump can still win this election. Now, do I think Trump will win this election? No. Do I think he has very good chances at winning this election? No. But he still does have a path. Now, I've seen a lot of people saying, Trump is finished, Trump has no chance. That is not true. Trump still does have a chance of victory, and I'm going to be talking about what his path to victory is, because as you can see here, this is the battleground map that I have, pretty much laid out. Which states I think are safe or likely. These states that are filled in gray are lean or tilt states. You could argue states like Nevada could be lean, states like New Hampshire could be lean, and in this scenario where Trump's going to win, sure, we can put them at lean margins. Sure, we can put Colorado and New Mexico at likely margins. That's not going to change the way these states are going to go, but it could change how some of these other states are going to go. But what is the easiest path for Donald Trump to victory? Well, there's a number of states that he won in 2016 that he is in danger of losing. And every state you see here in the gray is a state here that he won, with the exception of Minnesota. He lost Minnesota, but every single other one of these states he won. But if we look at 2016, he flipped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these states. So you see here, he flipped Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Iowa, Pennsylvania, and Florida. So, that was a very important part of his victory in 2016. But how's he going to do it again? Well, there's states, first off, that are, completely must-win states that he, literally has no path to winning without. The first one is the state of Texas. Some people have said this is going to be close. Some people have said that, Biden has a chance of winning it. I don't think Biden is going to win. I don't think he has much chance of winning it at all. I think, he's probably down around somewhere near 4 percentage points, but that gives a lean margin of victory to Trump, and that is important to Trump because Texas has 38 electoral votes. If you take away Texas and you just have the safe and likely margin states with the exception of Nevada and New Hampshire, Trump is at 143 electoral votes. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are 222 electoral votes, but you give Trump Texas and he goes all the way up to 181 electoral votes, and he is then at that point only 89 electoral votes away from winning. So you get to the next state. What's the next two states that he has to win? And in this scenario, the next two states that are must-wins for him are Iowa and Ohio here. Actually, if we put in Ohio was actually filled in red, but if we do take this out, we see that Trump is still actually at 158 electoral votes. When we do add in the state of Texas, he is at a number of 120 without it. But you give him Texas, he's at 158. You give him Iowa, and you give him Ohio, and he's at 182 electoral votes. Iowa and Ohio are the next two states that are must-wins. So we look at Ohio, first of all. Trump is actually up by 0.5 percentage points in the average here. We had Trafalgar that showed him up by 4, Quinnipiac and New York Times that showed Biden up by 1, CBS NewGov, which showed it at a tie. So there's been very good polls for Biden this cycle, considering the fact that Trump won this state by 8 percentage points. But you go back in 2016 and see the polls from the state of Ohio. They had Trump winning by 3.5. He ended up winning by 8.1. That means that they underestimated him by over 4 percentage points, 4.6 percentage points to be exact. So, you look at these polls, which have polls this time. Quinnipiac had Trump up 5. They now have Biden up by 1. CBS NewGov's had it Trump plus 1, which got it off by 7 percentage points. They now have Trump tied. So you have to assume that Trump will still be able to win Ohio. I do think it'll be closer than last time, but he still will be able to win Ohio, and he will have to win it because at that point he's at 182 electoral votes. Now, what is the next state that is his must win? You could say it's a state like Florida or Georgia, but I think, just for the sake of this, we're going to put in Maine's 2nd district as the state that is must win because, this is a sign of how he is doing with rural white working class voters across the country. Did he keep the voters that he switched from the Republican to Democratic Party, or from legacy Democrats, so people that voted Democrat for a while, then started voting Republican because of Trump? Is he keeping those voters? Is he turning out to those voters? Maine's 2nd is a big bellwether of that, and I think it's very important to note. It's only one electoral vote, so it's not necessarily a must-win, but it is still very important. But the next state that is a must-win is probably going to be the state of Georgia. Now, if we do look at the state of Georgia and we look at the polling data, which historically has actually been quite accurate, we see that Biden here is actually up by 1.2 percentage points. We've had a number of polls that have shown him up. Disregard the Quinnipiac poll that shows Biden up 7, disregard the PPP poll, but Survey USA is pretty good, and these other polls showing it closer pretty good as well. So, this is going to be a close state, and if Trump loses it, it's, at that point, he's probably also going to lose North Carolina because it means black turnout is up. And at that point, it means he's probably also losing Michigan and Wisconsin. That kind of pattern arises when you lose a state that is traditionally Republican. So he also needs to win the state of Georgia. And you can see he's creeping up here. He's still behind Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, who's at 222. He's at Donald Trump is at 204 electoral votes, but he is getting there. So at this point, he needs 66 more electoral votes. Now, the next state he'll have to win is going to be the state of North Carolina. Now, North Carolina, I've talked about this extensively. You've got conflicting trends in the state of North Carolina. You've got rural areas that are trending towards the Republicans. You've got suburban areas that are trending towards the Democrats. And if we look at the polling data right now, it is not good for Donald Trump. Joe Biden is up by 2.7 percentage points in the state of North Carolina. We've had a lot of polling averages, polls. It's a robust polling average. Monmouth is a good poll. Survey USA is a good poll. Susquehanna is a Republican-leaning pollster. Reuters is a decent pollster. New York Times is a decent pollster. Emerson's a good pollster, and they all show, none of them show that Biden is losing, and only one of them doesn't show that Biden is winning, and that is Emerson showing it at a tie. So, Trump's in a very precarious situation in the state of North Carolina, but he's going to have to count that he keeps his voter support base from 2016 and can also gain in some of these rural areas. If you look at the North Carolina map from 2016, you can actually see there's a lot of, rural areas that are going towards the Democratic Party with Hillary Clinton. And you look at the county map, you see there's actually a lot of light red. And you look at the change from 2012, these rural areas trended towards the Republicans. The only areas that didn't trend towards the Republicans, like I said, are the suburban areas like Mecklenburg County, like Guilford County, like Wake County, and the Raleigh area. Those are the areas trending towards the Democrats. But can Trump outpace that with the rural trends, with a lot of these light red areas, which have less votes, but collectively do make a difference? That is a big question. I do think right now he's narrowly favored to win the state of North Carolina, but we will see how that turns out. So at this point, Donald Trump is actually getting quite close. He's at 219. He needs 51 electoral votes more. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are at 222 electoral votes. And, these are all must-win states, and, many of these states he's actually down in currently. So he is going to have a difficult time winning all these states because, a lot of these states you could say are 50-50 states, and, getting 50-50 odds in, 5, 6, 7, 8 states is, quite difficult to do. So next we look at the state of Florida. Florida is another state that is going to be a must-win state from him. If you see the mail-in ballot numbers, they actually are quite good for Democrats. Don't look at the Target Smart data that shows that the Republicans are doing, very well, because that's, we can't trust that data any more than we can trust polling data. But this, in the state of Florida, the data that we're seeing for the mail-in ballot numbers is official data from, the state. We're also seeing that early voting has started today, and Democrats are actually doing quite well. But Donald Trump can make up for it with in-person voting, especially if you have high turnout. And, Biden's lead is only 1.4 percentage points, which is a normal polling error away. It's, certainly within the margin of error. That's a normal polling error away from Trump winning. We go back to 2016. Sure, the polls narrowly said that Trump was going to win. The polling data got it off by 1 percentage point exactly. And if you apply that to this time, Biden would still win, but you didn't have the same kind of polls that you had last time. You have a lot of polls, in this average here that you may not be able to necessarily trust because, Quinnipiac has Biden plus 11, and sure, it's not on the average anymore, but it was in the average before when you saw that Biden, was up by 4 percentage points in Florida, which he's not going to win it by. So, Trump also has other advantages in this state. He's got the fact that this is his home state. He's got rural areas up in the Panhandle here. If we actually go down to the Panhandle, we can see here that these are the areas trending towards the Republican Party here. Also, if you go down the western coast here, Trump's just going to have to hope that he can do better in areas like Miami-Dade County, because Hillary Clinton did historically well here. But he's also going to have to hope that he can limit the damage in areas like Duval County. If you see the early voting numbers, they're very good for Democrats there. Areas like Hillsborough County, Pinellas County. He's going to have to hope that he can hold on to these areas while also doing better in the, in the Panhandle, doing better in some of these Central Florida areas. And if he can do that, he'll be able to win the state. And these are all big ifs. I don't necessarily think Trump is going to do all these things. They are big ifs, but at that point, he's at 248 electoral votes, and he's only 22 electoral votes away. Well, at this point, you could say, maybe Nebraska's 2nd district he could win. I think it's unlikely he's going to win Nebraska's 2nd district. It doesn't really matter mathematically, at least at this point. There's a scenario with a 269 tie scenario where Nebraska's 2nd district makes a difference. But Nebraska's 2nd district is an area that's very suburban, and it trended 5 points blue in 2016, which is, very blue when you consider, how things changed in that election at the nationwide level. The national environment was less blue overall. That district still trending towards the Democrats by 5 percentage points. And sure, there was a lot of third-party vote, but it still did trend towards the Democrats. But if Donald Trump can hold on to it, that would be important. Arizona's the next state he's going to have to win. And at this point, he's got that 260 number. I guess you could call it the 260 firewall, if you will. But the 260 number gets you there with the state of Arizona. And Arizona is really going to all come down to Maricopa County. If we look at Maricopa County trended, 8 points blue in 2016. And Maricopa County has 1.5 million votes. So it's a very important county because a lot of these counties, don't have a very significant number of votes. Sure, Pima County has some votes. Sure, Yavapai County has some votes. Mojave County has some votes. Some of these other areas have votes, but really it all comes down to Maricopa County. And if Joe Biden can win this county, he's probably going to win the state. But if Donald Trump can win it very narrowly or lose it very narrowly, he is going to be able to win the state. And the polls have shown it quite close right now. Actually, Trafalgar had Biden down 4 in the state of Arizona. So Trump does have the ability to win it. And at this point, he only needs one of these Rust Belt states. He picks off Minnesota, he gets 270. He picks off Pennsylvania, he's at 270. He picks off Michigan, he's at 270. And he picks off, Wisconsin, he's at 270. Any one of those 4 states, he has to win. And sure, you could argue that, all 4 of these states will move together. If Wisconsin goes blue, in all likelihood, all 3 of these other states will go blue and vice versa. That's probably true, but, Minnesota is a more blue state than Wisconsin is. Pennsylvania is a more red state than Michigan is, you could argue. And we'll see how these things turn out. But at this point, if you give him all those 50-50 states like Arizona, Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, Iowa, Georgia, and Texas, and Nebraska's 2nd district, at that point, he only needs one of these Rust Belt states. So I think that the most likely state that he would win would probably be Wisconsin. It's very hard to tell because I think these states will all go the same direction. But if he would only win one, I think it would probably be Wisconsin. If you do look at the state of Wisconsin, there are a lot of areas where Donald Trump can gain, and you see a lot of light red here that Donald Trump can gain. And you see a very similar story in Michigan, less so in Pennsylvania. I think Pennsylvania is probably the most likely state out of those 4. Actually, probably Minnesota is the most likely, but Pennsylvania is the second most likely for Biden to win. So in that scenario where, Biden pulls off Minnesota, Biden pulls off Pennsylvania, and even Biden pulls off Michigan, Donald Trump and Mike Pence would still end up winning this election. But it's a very, very narrow path. It's going to be a very, very tough path for him to do. Do I think he will do it? No. Can he do it? Yes. So we do have to watch out for that, and we'll see how it turns out on election night. So thank you all for watching this video. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also join the Discord that is linked down in the description, and check out the website, which is also linked down in the description. So again, guys, thank you all for watching this video, and I will see you guys later.